weather outside is frightful. I'm not joking, it is. Winter has decided to turn up the volume a notch. Anyhow, today I'd like to touch on a topic that, caused a little bit of controversy in the past. This is not directly related to, but somewhat related to the video where I talked about the fact that for many users, RAW files are not really what they want to be dealing with. They like to keep it simpler. They are occasional post-processors. They would rather simply take the picture and then post it online or get it printed. So, what's out there for those people? Too often when we talk about photography software, we get bogged down with Lightroom and Photoshop. Lightroom and Photoshop are definitely the power options for sure. However, given the way in which many people treat their photographs, these programs are overkill. Overkill on many levels. The expense of taking out a subscription in order to have Photoshop and Lightroom, that's something a lot of people really don't want to have to deal with, or in some cases can't really afford to deal with. Many will say, well, it's a better deal than it was years ago when you had to out and out buy these programs and they were very expensive. And yes, I agree. But stop and think for a minute. Are there actual alternatives out there? Well, I've looked around for quite a while. And, starting sort of near the top and working my way down through the few that I have, there is Corel's PaintShop Pro. Now, the problem with that program is that I don't know about the latest versions, but the versions I've seen are somewhat slow because they actually do the work right there on the screen, whereas something like Photoshop gives you a preview while it works in the background. So it's a very powerful program, probably ranks very close to Photoshop itself in its capability, but it is a little bit slow. However, price-wise, it's a good deal. Fraction of the price that you would pay for Photoshop. In fact, a one-year subscription to Photoshop would buy you outright this program that would probably be good for a few years. Coming down a notch, we get to something like Photoshop Elements. Photoshop Elements, as far as I'm concerned, is the level of Photoshop that most people would probably be happy enough with. It has most of the major features of Photoshop. It is a fraction of the price, and overall has a very, very similar workflow. It also, of course, supports Adobe Camera Raw, so you can do your RAW processing there as well. Now, I haven't mentioned Lightroom, because Lightroom's a different animal. Lightroom is basically for adjusting your image and for developing your RAW files. Yes, you can use it with JPEGs, and yes, it's very effective with JPEGs. But it doesn't do things like cloning and other little things that many people will want to do with their images if they really get into post-processing. So it's not a complete package in and of itself. Probably the most cost-effective one I've found is something called Affinity Photo. Now, Affinity Photo has been out for Macintosh for quite some time. It has recently come online for Windows. It has many of the features of Lightroom. It has many of the features of Photoshop. But it is far less than $100 to purchase. I think right now it's $40 or about $40 US. That makes it very, very cost effective, and so far the little bit of use I've put it to, it's working quite well. It's not slow, it's effective, it's quite enjoyable to use. So that's one to take a look at, Affinity Photo. Again, available for the two major platforms. My biggest, the saddest part of all this is that a very simple but very effective tool for the casual photographer was Picasa. Now, Picasa from Google is no longer going to be supported. So if you have Picasa now, you will probably be able to do all the things that you might need for the moment until, of course, you buy a new camera or something else comes along that will basically obsolete Picasa. Now, why am I mentioning it that way? Because Picasa offers a very, very simple, rudimentary RAW developer. It will open your RAW files. It will allow you to do very basic adjustments to your images. But then it allows you two things that most casual photographers really like: the ability to crop to the actual size and proportions of what you're going to print, so that if you're taking them somewhere to get them printed, you can do it and they'll all be the right size, right shape for that printing. And a very nice export tool that lets you resize them so that they will go on social media without too much difficulty. So rest in peace, Picasa. We will miss you. Very simple, but very effective. Anyhow, that's it for now. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to click like. If you would like to see more videos like this, please subscribe. And of course, if you think anyone might have some value with this video, then share. Well, there's my warning that my time is almost up. One small addendum to an earlier video about mirrorless cameras. I mentioned Leica, but I forgot to mention that the Leica SL is a fully featured autofocus full frame system, just like the TL is an APS-C autofocus mirrorless system. They're pretty pricey, but yes, they are out there. All right, folks, bye for now.